Hi. Just want to explain a few things about what we do in the winter. At Rideau View, one of the things that we do to prepare the course is to what I call put the greens to bed. And it's almost literally that way. Back in early 90s, we had a few years, a few springs where we had a lot of damage to the greens, and I wanted to, come up with a system to protect the greens and ensure that we had some good playing conditions in the spring. So, at kind of a roundabout way, I was at a conference in I think it might have been Calgary, and I was talking to another superintendent who was from the Montreal area at the time, and he said he had actually just moved out to Calgary and was working out there, and he said out there what they do is they put a tarp down and they put flax down on the course to attract snow to help protect the greens for the winter, and I thought that was kind of interesting. So I kind of thought about it, and because I needed to come up with something to help the course, get through the winter around here at Rideau View. And so I approached the board of directors and I said, let's try something. We've had a couple of bad springs. Let's if you can, come up with some money. It wasn't cheap. I said, let me try some straw and a few greens, and we'll try some tarps, and we'll kind of go from there because nobody in this area had done anything like that before. So they gave me a little bit of money, and I went out and I bought some tarps. There was only one size you could buy, and it was smaller than any of our greens. So I think I started with 3 greens. I can't remember which ones they are, but I bought some tarps, and I went to the local farmer just over here, over on First Line, and said, "Can I buy some straw? Because there's no flax here in Ontario." And he said, "Sure. How much do I want?" So basically, I kind of guessed and said, "Okay, I'll take X amount of bales." And for that year, we came back and I put down a bottom tarp, and I put down some straw. And then what I did was a little different than they do at West. Is I actually put down a top tarp, which is a solid tarp and impervious to rain and to water, which is an issue we have in Ontario, which I don't think they have out West. And I came up with this kind of sandwich of a bottom porous tarp, about 6 to 12 inches of straw, and then another tarp on top. And I pinned it all down, and I kind of hoped for the best. That spring, the next spring, we came out, and by gosh, those greens were fantastic. They were like the day they went in. Unfortunately, the area outside them wasn't so good because I only had a 60 by 90 tarp, and our greens were bigger, so I had this little square of perfect green with some not so good green outside of that. As you can see, we've got our straw down, and I've got some venting tubes, which I'll talk about in a minute. I've also got our bottom tarp is down, and I've got my 6 to 12 inches of straw already installed. Tomorrow, the idea is we'll bring out our solid tarp, which is still over there. It's still wrapped up. It's a bit windy to put down today, and we'll install that tomorrow. As you can see, we've got some venting pipes, and what I do with that is I'll prop those up, and in the wintertime I'll bring my snowmobile out, and I will go around to all these vents, and I will blow air into them, because one of the issues we found after we started this system is you get a buildup of toxic gases under the tarps, and that has to be expelled. And the best way to do that is to introduce new fresh air. A couple other things we do here at Rideau View to prepare the course for winter is we do tarp some of our tee boxes. Historically, we tarp the ones that I've had issues with. Again, that's just a history thing. The tarps that we use on the tees are basically ones that we've taken off the greens. They have some tears. We need to replace them, so I don't throw anything away. I cut them down to size, cut out the tears, and we put them on our tees. That seems to work quite well. It helps these tees get through the winter. Another thing I do is, if you look up the 12th hole, there's some styrofoam with a brick on it. And I've had a lot of members ask me why I do that. And basically, over the years, we've had irrigation breaks where we have frost heave under the heads, and it pulls up the head and basically breaks the pipe underneath. So a small thing that I've come up with is just taking a piece of 2x2 styrofoam and a brick and putting it on top of the irrigation head. We tried lots of other things. We tried digging out the heads and spinning them off. All that worked, but it was a lot of a lot of work to spin the heads off and then spin them back on in the spring. I tried backfilling with sand, and nothing seemed to work. So far, this is worked for us. As a matter of fact, the first year we tried it, we only had enough styrofoam to go up one side, so we went up the left side. We had a lot of breaks that spring. It was all on the right side. So we know it works. Another thing we do at Rideau View is we don't straw all the greens. There's 3 or 4 greens that we actually put bubble on. And the reason for that is the exposure of the greens. They would melt off very early in the spring, and I get excess growth on the greens. So what another system I've come up with is using bubble. It's basically 12 foot wide, 100 feet long, and I spread it on the greens, and I use that instead of straw. It's still an insulating factor, but we don't get that excessive growth that we do under straw. That's why we do the 16th green, the first green, and a couple other greens as well into bubble rather than straw. So we're about the 3rd week of November now. This is when we do all our bubble and our straw, and that's trying to get the course, in good shape and protected as much as I can for this fall, in hopes that we can have the course looking as good as we can get it in the spring.